The Korean War, often referred to as the Forgotten War, was a pivotal conflict that shaped the geopolitical landscape of the 20th century. Fought between 1950 and 1953, it was a war that drew in superpowers, tested ideologies, and left an indelible mark on the Korean Peninsula. To understand the Korean War, we must first delve into its origins. At the close of World War II, Korea, which had been under Japanese occupation, was liberated. However, liberation brought division. The peninsula was split along the 38th parallel, with the Soviet Union occupying the north and the United States the south. This division set the stage for a conflict that would soon engulf the nation. In the north, the Soviet-backed regime established the Democratic People's Republic of Korea under Kim Il-sung. In the south, the United States supported the Republic of Korea, led by Syngman Rhee. Both leaders aspired to unify Korea under their respective governments, leading to escalating tensions and border skirmishes. On June 25, 1950, North Korean forces launched a full-scale invasion into South Korea, crossing the 38th parallel. This surprise attack marked the beginning of the Korean War. The North Korean People's Army, well-equipped and strategically prepared, swiftly advanced southward, capturing Seoul within days. The international community responded with alarm. Under the auspices of the United Nations, a coalition of forces, predominantly from the United States, was assembled to assist South Korea. President Harry S. Truman emphasized the need to contain communism, viewing the invasion as a test of the free world's resolve. By August 1950, UN and South Korean forces had been pushed back to the Pusan perimeter, a small defensive line in the southeast. Facing overwhelming odds, they mounted a desperate defense, holding the line against repeated North Korean assaults. This stand was crucial, buying time for reinforcements and supplies to arrive. In a bold and risky maneuver, General Douglas MacArthur orchestrated an amphibious landing at Inchon in September 1950. The operation was a stunning success, catching North Korean forces off guard and leading to the recapture of Seoul. This turning point allowed UN forces to push northward beyond the 38th parallel. However, as UN forces approached the Yalu River, the border with China, new challenges emerged. China, fearing encirclement and the presence of hostile forces on its border, intervened by sending hundreds of thousands of People's Volunteers into North Korea. Their entry into the war in late 1950 led to a series of offensives that pushed UN forces back into South Korea. The war then settled into a brutal stalemate, with front lines oscillating near the 38th parallel. Both sides endured grueling conditions, with fierce battles fought over strategic positions like Pork Chop Hill and Heartbreak Ridge. The harsh Korean winters added to the misery, with soldiers facing freezing temperatures and inadequate supplies. Peace talks began in 1951 but dragged on for 2 years, hampered by disagreements over prisoner exchanges and territorial adjustments. Finally, on July 27, 1953, an armistice was signed at Panmunjom, establishing the Korean Demilitarized Zone, a buffer zone near the 38th parallel that remains one of the most fortified borders in the world. The Korean War resulted in significant devastation. Estimates suggest that approximately 2.5 million people lost their lives, including a substantial number of civilians. The war also solidified the division of Korea, a separation that persists to this day, influencing global politics and inter-Korean relations. While often overshadowed by other conflicts, the Korean War's legacy is profound. It was a crucible that tested international alliances, highlighted the perils of ideological confrontations, and underscored the resilience of the human spirit. The armistice brought an end to active combat, but a formal peace treaty was never signed, leaving the Korean Peninsula in a state of uneasy truce that has persisted for over 7 decades. Today, the conflict remains unresolved, and the war's influence is still felt in global geopolitics. After the armistice in 1953, the Korean War left the peninsula deeply divided. The creation of the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ, a 160-mile-long stretch of land, serves as a physical reminder of the unresolved tension between North and South Korea. The DMZ, one of the most heavily fortified borders in the world, still marks the dividing line between two nations that have followed drastically different paths in the decades since. In the north, Kim Il-sung solidified his control over the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. His regime maintained strict totalitarian rule with a focus on military might and an ideology based on juche, or self-reliance. Despite facing sanctions and isolation, North Korea developed a potent military force, and in recent years, a nuclear weapons program that has dramatically shifted the balance of power in the region. South Korea, on the other hand, emerged from the war in ruins but quickly rebuilt itself, aided by significant American support. Over the next few decades, the South developed a robust economy, transitioning from an agrarian society to an industrialized, technological powerhouse. By the 21st century, South Korea had become a global leader in industries such as electronics, automotive manufacturing, and entertainment, with companies like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG at the forefront of global innovation. Today, Seoul stands as a symbol of South Korea's remarkable transformation. Once ravaged by the war, this city is now a beacon of progress, home to advanced technologies, a booming pop culture scene, K-pop being a prime example, and a thriving democracy. South Korea's experience is a testament to the resilience of its people and the power of international cooperation, especially with the United States and its Western ally. But despite the economic prosperity of the South, the threat from the North has never truly subsided. Tensions along the border remain high, and incidents between the two Koreas have continued to occur over the years. Both the South Korean government and the North Korean regime continue to maintain large, standing militaries, with the specter of conflict always looming. Over the years, North Korea has engaged in provocations, including the sinking of the South Korean warship Cheonan in 2010 and the shelling of Yeonpyeong Island. These incidents have served as stark reminders that the conflict between North and South Korea remains volatile, and that the Armistice of 1953 did little to solve the underlying issues. Despite these tensions, however, both sides have engaged in diplomatic talks over the years, and the international community continues to push for dialogue in the hope of a peaceful resolution. One of the most notable moments of diplomacy came in 2000, when the leaders of North and South Korea met in the first ever Inter-Korean Summit. South Korean President Kim Dae-jung and North Korean leader Kim Jong-il signed the June 15th North-South Joint Declaration, promising to improve relations and work towards reunification. This landmark event was followed by others, such as the 2018 summit between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and South Korean President Moon Jae-in. In 2018, the Panmunjom Declaration marked a significant moment in the efforts to ease tensions between the two Koreas. The declaration, signed by Kim Jong-un and Moon Jae-in, pledged to work towards denuclearization and a formal end to the Korean War. However, despite these hopeful gestures, progress has been slow, and the path to lasting peace remains uncertain. Beyond the political and military struggles, the human cost of the Korean War continues to affect families. Millions of people were separated during the conflict, and even today, families in both North and South Korea remain divided, some without ever having seen their loved ones again. Despite the occasional reunification events where family members are allowed to meet across the border, the emotional scars of the war are still deeply felt on both sides. The memory of the Korean War is honored in both North and South Korea, albeit in vastly different ways. In the South, memorials and museums commemorate the sacrifices made by the soldiers and civilians alike, while in the North, the war is remembered as a struggle against imperialist forces, with Kim Il-sung's leadership portrayed as heroic. Today, the Korean Peninsula remains a place of contrasts, land where history, division, and the hope for unity intersect. The Korean War, though technically over, continues to shape the lives of those living in its shadow. Its impact is felt not just in the borderlands, but across the world, as it serves as a reminder of the costs of war and the complexities of international diplomacy. Though the guns fell silent in 1953, the echoes of the Korean War resonate to this day, for those who lived through it, for the families divided by its aftermath, and for the generations that have inherited its legacy. The story of the Korean War is far from over. Thank you for joining us as we explored the complex and enduring legacy of the Korean War. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most pivotal moments. Until next time, take care.